In the cold autumn of 1798, 17 travelers vanished across a deadly stretch of wilderness road in southeastern Kentucky. There were no blood trails, no cries for help, only empty saddles, lost supplies, and an unnatural silence that spread through the forest like a whisper of death. What followed was not just a mystery, but a deliberate burial of truth. Local officials erased every detail, sealed every document, and left behind a shadow that stretched over centuries. The name Harden would become a whisper, a warning, a riddle, too dangerous to speak aloud. No one knew then that this quiet farmland harbored the most chilling story in early American history, one soaked in deception, sanctity, and blood. The silence broke in 1987 when an old courthouse file was accidentally discovered during routine basement cleaning. The papers that emerged did not just describe murders, they outlined an operation, a precise, calculated effort, carried out in the name of righteousness. This was not rage or chaos, it was structure, a pattern, a farm run not by farmers, but by executioners disguised as saints. At the heart of this storm was the Harden family. Their property, hidden along Beaver Creek, looked like any other successful homestead. Their smiles were wide. Their words were filled with scripture. Their doors were always open to those in need. But kindness, in this place, was currency. It bought trust, it bought time, and then it bought silence. Southeastern Kentucky in that era stood between two worlds. Civilization pushed in from the east. The untamed frontier waited in the west. Between them lay the wilderness road, a narrow, winding passage first carved by Boone himself. Hundreds of settlers passed through its winding hills and frozen rivers, praying they would survive one more mile. Towns formed along these paths like puddles after a heavy storm. One such settlement was Millfield, a humble place born from the prayers of Baptist settlers. The year was 1794. The people were God-fearing, rule-bound, and closed to outsiders. The community barely reached 300, yet each person believed they knew every neighbor. That belief, as it turned out, was their first mistake. Life centered around the general store, a rugged wooden building manned by Jeremiah Hendress. He had fought battles against native tribes and now measured flour and bullets in equal weight. Opposite the store stood the Cumberland Inn, the town's pride. A widow named Martha had built it with money earned far away in Philadelphia. Her guests dined on stews thick with meat, slept in feathered beds, and heard stories from travelers who spoke of ghosts, gold, and war. Across the dusty road stood New Jerusalem Baptist Church. Simple logs formed its walls, but its sermons reached heaven. Reverend Cole led the flock. Educated in Boston, hardened by the frontier, his sermons blended divine guidance with harsh survival. Next to him stood a man no one dared interrupt. His name was Ezekiel Harden. He claimed to have lost everything in Indian raids back in Virginia. Along with his wife, Temperance, and their 3 grown children, Caleb, Josiah, and Mercy, they arrived in Millfield like angels displaced from heaven. They prayed, they worked, they healed, and they helped. By spring of 1791, they were no longer guests. They were pillars. Ezekiel towered over most men. Broad shoulders, stone-set eyes, and a voice that rolled like thunder through the hills. When he preached, men cried and women trembled. Temperance was his mirror. Small, tireless, gentle, and brilliant. Her hands delivered children and stitched wounds with equal ease. Some whispered she was more skilled than any doctor west of the Appalachians. Caleb, the oldest son, was a quiet ox. His muscles built barns. His hands plowed fields. Josiah, the second, read books under candlelight and taught children during snowbound winters. Mercy, their sister, walked like light, her voice soft, her smile healing. The Harden farm stretched across 400 acres, rich with corn and tobacco. Their livestock drank from Beaver Creek, and their mill turned grain into gold. The house was 2 stories tall, with glass windows and polished silver that no other farm could boast. They had everything. Too much, some would say, for a simple farming family. But no one asked. No one wanted to know. The Hardens never refused shelter to a soul. Wagons broken, children sick, travelers lost. Ezekiel brought them in. Temperance fed and healed them. Caleb fetched wood. Josiah repaired wheels. Mercy kept the guest log with delicate strokes. The sick left whole. The tired left strong. Or so everyone believed. When a merchant named Samuel Fletcher did not reach Lexington, his business partner knew something was terribly wrong. Fletcher was dependable. He was wealthy, and he was never late. His saddlebags carried silver, and his routes were memorized by innkeepers from Virginia to Kentucky. When no letter came, no word arrived, his partner retraced his path. One by one, stops confirmed Fletcher's presence until Millfield. There, the trail turned to smoke. His horse was found grazing by a quiet creek, his coins untouched, his supplies untouched, his saddlebags intact. The bridle was hung gently on a branch, not torn or stolen. It was the detail that screamed the loudest. It spoke of calm, it spoke of planning, and it spoke of hands that knew what they were doing. The local constable, Jacob Winters, was not a man to scare easily. He had chased rebels and fought warriors. He had buried friends and seen lies take root in innocent soil. When he saw Fletcher's trail, he saw something deeper than theft. He saw a pattern waiting to unfold. A search party was formed. Blood on thorns. Fabric on bark. A trail that led through woods, winding toward one place Harden land. Then it stopped. Completely. As if the earth had swallowed the man whole. No footprints. No drag marks. No struggle. Just silence. When questioned, Ezekiel welcomed the law. Yes, Fletcher had come. Yes, he had asked about a shortcut. No, they had not seen him again. He had been nervous, spoken of men following him. He had rejected their food, refused their bed, and disappeared into the dark. Everyone in the family told the same story. The exact same words, the same phrases, the same order. Too perfect. Too clean. Winters, a man who trusted no story without friction, felt the lie without proof. The farm had changed. A new smokehouse, too large. A root cellar, doubled in size. Fresh dirt, still soft, around the outbuildings. When asked, Ezekiel smiled. A rich harvest, he claimed. Bigger storage, better tools. Winters nodded, but his gut turned cold. Their warmth was forced. Their smiles cracked. Their voices trembled beneath the words. Temperance spilled coffee. Mercy's eyes darted to her father. Caleb's hands fidgeted. Josiah said nothing. There was nothing Winters could do. The merchant's death was ruled an accident. Perhaps highway robbery, perhaps the cold. The record was closed, but the vanishing continued. Every few weeks, someone else disappeared. Some were merchants. Some were preachers. Some were whole families. Some were armed. Some were poor. All were last seen heading toward the Harden farm. Yet again, there was no proof. Only shadows. A child named Timothy, small and wild, brought the first break. He spoke of screams at night coming from Harden land. Not normal cries, but suffering. Deep, drawn-out agony, as if someone's soul was being pulled apart. His parents dismissed it as wind, as owls, as imagination. But the dates he gave matched perfectly with the disappearances. Winters listened. He asked questions, quiet ones, discreet ones, Neighbors began remembering things they had chosen to forget. Lanterns moving at night, digging that never stopped, bones near the fence line, sounds that did not belong. And one detail returned, again and again. No one ever saw where all the dirt went. A peddler brought the past with him. Isaac Brewster, seasoned traveler, remembered a family from Tennessee, the Harpers. A preacher, a healer, 3 children. Travelers had vanished there too. The Harpers disappeared overnight. Their house burned, their wells filled. Shallow graves in the woods revealed everything. The descriptions matched. Ezekiel was Zechariah Harper. Temperance was Prudence. The children's faces had not changed. They had simply changed names, not purpose. The proof came not from evidence, but from guilt. Mercy came at night, eyes red, heart pounding, truth spilling from her lips like floodwaters. Her family had murdered for years. Travelers were chosen, judged, killed. Their crimes were decided by Ezekiel. Their fate determined by whispers, by sins he claimed only he could see. The underground complex beneath the farm was not a cellar. It was a prison, a courtroom, a tomb. Some victims were kept alive. Others were drained of knowledge, used and discarded. Doctors, ministers, craftsmen all served before dying. Mercy kept the records, every name, every item, every word, written like a bookkeeper of death. Temperance mixed the drugs. Josiah and Caleb enforced the sentences. Ezekiel passed judgment. They believed they were saving the land, cleansing it. Their kindness was bait, their prayers camouflage. Winters gathered his few allies: Henrik Johansson, Isaac Brewster, Benjamin Stokes, Daniel Crawford. They crept toward the farm in silence. What they found was worse than they imagined. Bones, tools, ledgers, tunnels lined with chains, a courtroom carved in stone. Victims, still alive, waited to be judged. The raid was brutal. Ezekiel fought with the fire of madness. Temperance tried to burn it all. Caleb and Josiah attacked from shadows. But truth is heavier than lies, and it crushed them. The court in Lexington could not contain the horror. 67 confirmed deaths, possibly more, Mercy testified. Not from courage, but from fear. The family was executed. Mercy lived behind. Stone walls until age erased her name. The land was cursed. The tunnels sealed. The truth buried, but not forgotten. And still, questions remain. Were the Hardens alone? Or others like them hidden across the frontier? How many smiles disguised knives? How many sermons masked slaughter? This is not just a tale of death. It is a warning. Evil wears faces we trust, and it waits, always, just beyond the firelight.